$214 is going to be awarded to the following ticket holder. Here we go. 7. Okay, and Kay just told me you have 5 minutes to claim your prize. And what's that prize again? $214.
Hi, most of you know me, I'm Bud Fauble. But Bill is a guy who I could talk about all night. There is so many. I spent a year with him. In 1964, he called me at the beginning of the year and said, "Why don't you let me do some work on your car?" And I thought about it and called him back and said, "Okay." But anyhow, to make a long story short, he worked on my car the whole year of 1964, and we were very successful. We won a lot of big events. One of the things that Bill liked the most was when Superstock magazine was going to run the best Ford and the best Chrysler product to see which one was the best, because they were always writing stories that each one was better than the other. So Bill was tickled when they decided to take my car and Bill from up at Rhode Island, Bill Lawton, who's from Tasca Ford, who unfortunately has since got killed on a motorcycle. But they decided to run these 2 cars, and the Superstock lined them up that we would do it down at Cecil County, Maryland. And Bill was so tickled when we went down there and we won that event, because there was a lot of magazines and all sorts of publicity on that, and that's something that Bill really liked, was a lot of publicity, and he deserved it. He did the things to get a lot of publicity. Then we were runner-up to the Ram Chargers at the Indy that year, and that was another big event that he thought we did good on. But Jim Thornton and the Ram Chargers were very tough. I don't think anybody was beaten in that year at all that I know of, but they beat our car. Then some of the things that Bill did was hard to understand. As soon as you got there with the car, he got out the police tape, the yellow tape, and put it around the car. He didn't want anybody getting too close to the car. And that aggravated Chrysler Corporation, and Dodge kept calling me and says, "Why does he put that up?" I said, "He doesn't want anybody to get close to the car." He said, "Well, you tell him we want people to look at the car. That's part of our major program here." But anyhow, Bill would say, "Well, they're not running the show, we are." So Bill run the show, and he did it the way he wanted to. However, at the end of the year, they told me that they couldn't sign him up with me again for the year. And I really felt bad about it, because I felt we had really done well, and of course we had, but it was just off the track, or off the racing thing that got to the factory, and they just didn't want anybody that didn't want to show the cars very openly. So anyhow, I told Bill, it was a hard thing for me to do, and he said, "Well, I want to tell you one thing." He said, "You won't win one thing this year." He said, "You were very lucky to have me this year, but you won't win anything next year." And it just happened that then I got my 65 car, and the first race was the Winter Nationals at Arizona, and I won. I told Bill later that night, we were having dinner in Phoenix, and I said, "Bill, the car ran good. Even though you weren't there, it still ran good." He said, "Well, I want to tell you one thing." He said, "You getting through all these people, that is what I call pure luck." Thank you.
Is it okay if I stand? I first met Bill Jenkins. I went to a match race. I kind of slipped off and snuck in a little drag strip out in Georgia, and I saw him race Oxford Bart. He was my hero then. I read about him, but bear with me because I'm very emotional today, because I had only seen him afar. But when I won Miss Hearst Golden Shifter in '66, George Hearst flew me into Pennsylvania. I love Pennsylvania. And I was a Southern girl, never been north of the Mason-Dixon line, and I was going to meet all these Yankees. Can you imagine how scared I was? Grump comes walking in, walks up, and he goes, "What color are your eyes?" And I said, "I'll let you see him." He goes, "I can't see him." That's how I met Grumpy Jenkins at George Hearst's office. I fell madly in love with him right there. But I had seen him race, and I had seen him kick butt and take names, and read about him, because Gartless was the first racer I ever met. But to meet my hero, and he didn't know it at the time, but he sure didn't know it, and 50 years of us hanging out together. I went to his wives and his girlfriends and his problems, but he and I worked a tremendous show called the Society of Automotive Engineering. I was scared to death because I was by no far an educated engineer like Grumpy. But he got drunker than a hoot owl that night, and we had to make an appearance the next morning, so I made him eat a loaf of bread and drink a whole gallon of coffee, because he was not going to go on that stage with me in front of Chevrolet at that time, Mr. Vince Piggins, because he had built Georgian engines, and we cheated a little bit, and we were going to Daytona after the Society of Automotive Engineering. So we not only accomplished what we set out to do in front of all those engineers that day, and we signed autographs for hours. We hopped on a plane, flew down. Smokey Unit picks us up at the airport. Can you imagine me with Bill Grumpy Jenkins, Smokey Unit, and here comes Donnie Allison. They had put together an engine, and Grumpy was a big part of it. Thank y'all for all helping him, because we sat on the pole the next day at the Daytona 500, and they tore us down, and they never could find out what we were cheating with. So those are just the beginning stories. I hope and pray I live long enough to write my book, because I can definitely do a few volumes on Grumpy Jenkins. I know all you race car drivers had a blast racing him, but I was there with him and for him, and he taught me a lot. And I used to go with someone who was a part of the Pennsylvania Railroad, and Grumpy always wore the Pennsylvania Railroad belt buckle that I got him, and I was real proud of that. But we're in a couple of weeks at Sonoma. We're going to do a train ride in behalf of Grumpy, and they're going to drink wine, because I'm under medication. I'm going to watch them drink the wine, but we're going to toast and have a good time for Grumpy, and go up on one of his favorite trains and tell a lot of stories. And I'm sure all these great writers can write some wonderful stories that y'all be reading through the years. But I'm honored to have known him, and broken-hearted because we loved each other so much. I lost 3 best friends in 3 months. I lost my best friend Booper, who Grumpy used to try to see her eyes. And I lost Shelby and Grumpy. So it's time for me to cry and let y'all know my heartfelt sympathies, but I loved him dearly, a great hero, and he'll be remembered all over the world, because when I went to Sweden, the King of Sweden invites me to the palace. Well, how do you curtsy? To the left, to the right? I just bent over. And here's a big picture of Grumpy, and he goes, "How about you know the GURP?" And I go, "What?" "That's Grumpy." He goes, "That's the GURP. In Swedish, it's GURP." So he's the GURP hero. I was honored to represent him over there, and he had a key to my house. He was the only person that took off those little shoes and set them at my front door. I still have his Scotch bottle and a pair of his shorts that he left. Not the under shorts, a pair of those little red shorts that he left at my house. Thank y'all. I love him dearly, and we can tell a lot of stories, but I know we got to go. Thank y'all so much. Darling, I love Pennsylvania and Grumpy Jenkins.
tall, but I think I can.
No,
make
you're
it.
all right. I'm just getting sound mostly. What's the matter? Won't start or what? Bruce Larson's Corvette.
What's your name? Terry. I'll ask 3 times before someone pictures of it.
Tell you one thing, that was loud.
That sounded great.
When I came back in,
Nothing like starting on the starter. Yeah, what's been shot?